Hi everybody, and welcome to Life School for December, where we are focusing on self-worth. This is a 30-day inner journey of building emotional well-being, self-nurturing, and most of all, learning the art of 100% believing in yourself, building an unshakable relationship. So what I want to talk about now is I want to break down how self-worth works. And why would we do this? Why would we go on this journey with ourselves? Well, I believe that self-worthiness is really built in the most deepest core of yourself. It's not built in our relationships. It's not built in the person that we show to the world. It's built internally with your most inner self. And it is the fundamental backbone of all that you have and can have, and of what shows up in your life. Everything that you have right now, the amount of love, acceptance, abundance, prosperity, joy, happiness, all of it is a direct reflection of this relationship that you have with yourself at your core, internally. So by working with this belief and pattern that we are running on how worthy we are or not, it has this beautiful butterfly effect that then starts to filter into what shows up in our life. And we'll talk about now how that actually works. The belief system and self-connected relationship that we are running with and working with, it affects how we approach life, relationships, what we have, love, acceptance, happiness, and what we don't have. What I want for you is for this deep connected relationship to be unshakable. That regardless of your circumstances right now, or in the past events, regardless of the limitations that you believe that you have in yourself and may have in your life, regardless of other people's opinions of you or reactions to you, and regardless of events, that once built, this relationship cannot be broken. And there's one thing that, many times I would ask so many clients that I've worked with, especially when I'm first meeting them, and I can see the version of themselves that they're showing to everybody, the face that we put on. But you can see behind that veil, you can see within their eyes that there is a real weakness, or that something in their belief about themselves has been broken. You can see it. And this shows up in multiple ways. It shows up in whether you give yourself a hard time or not, by the way that you talk to yourself internally, by the way that you berate yourself for not doing things right. It shows up in the way that if you speak unkindly to yourself out loud to others. A lot of people put themselves down, and we'll talk about what they can't do or don't do well, as opposed to what their value is. They don't celebrate their own value. It shows up in the way that you limit yourself in what it is that you can have. So whether you kind of have cement boots on and you kind of play small and you keep yourself in this realm of I am only allowed to have so much, as opposed to the belief that there is enough of everything for everybody on the planet. And regardless of what I think about myself, that is available to me at any given moment. It shows up in the ways that we sabotage ourselves, and this is one of my personal favorites. Or making things way harder than they need to be, because we have this belief that for me to be worthy of what I receive, of good things in my life, that I have to work hard, or it has to be hard for me to have that. Therefore, I'm worthy of it. As opposed to celebrating, I'm worthy of having all that I want because I can, because it is available to me. And it's okay to have as much of everything that I want, and that is okay. It shows up, this lack of worth, in a fear of shining, like a fear of being able to really celebrate your value and allow that to be seen by others and celebrated by others without fear, without worry of how you will be perceived, what others will think and say. It shows up in our balking of going bigger and deeper in our lives and really stopping ourselves or limiting ourselves at really going after these deep core desires that we have for ourselves, and pushing them down and holding them down, and even forgetting that they exist entirely. So there are all these myriad of ways that a lack of self-worth shows up. It also shows up in the relationships that we attract with others, whether we have kind, supportive, loving relationships, or whether the relationships that we have always tend to be difficult, or we allow others to abuse our time and energy, or we constantly feel that we have to prove to others our worth, as opposed to knowing our worth and therefore no longer attracting those people. So let's backtrack with how this happens. How is it that we develop our self-worth? Well, we develop it through what it is that we're told when we're children. We develop it through circumstances and events. But really, at the core, we are born worthy. Every single person on this planet, no matter the circumstances that they're born into, is worthy of the amount of abundance, the amount of health, the amount of love, the amount of acceptance. Everyone is born worthy of all of these things. And this is a basic human right that no matter what has happened to us or what we have experienced, no one can take that right away. No one can take away the basic human right that we are worthy of having whatever level of happiness it is that we desire. No one can take that away. So yes, there are all of these past experiences, the layers of our experience that can tell us or show us or make us question our own worth. But no circumstance, no event, and no person can ever take away that in a relationship. It's just that over time, we can lose contact with the inner, most private relationship, and the longest relationship we will ever have, and the most intimate relationship we will ever have, is the one that we have with what I call our inner self. So there are three aspects to you and me. We have the inner self. This is the person that you fall asleep with at night, the part of you that nobody else sees, the thoughts that run through your mind, the little beliefs that you've developed, the way that you feel about yourself, what you believe you are, what you value in yourself, who it is that you are at your core that nobody else sees. This is your inner self. And this is the stepping stone. This is the most important part of building self-worth. Then we have the private self. Now, this is the part of ourselves where we allow ourselves to be a little bit more vulnerable. We don't let everyone really see that deep core person. But in the private self, it's where our relationships are built. So maybe, with our closest friends and family, we are intimate enough and connected enough to show a little bit of vulnerability and allow ourselves to be seen. And then there is the public self. This is the face that we show to the world. Now, there is a lot of confusion that self-worth, self-esteem, and confidence are the same thing, and they are not at all. They are not, because self-worth is a belief inside the inner self, that deep, intimate relationship with yourself. This is where self-worth is built. Self-esteem is built through our inner circle, our private self, who we show to those that we love. So if we have healthy, close, intimate relationships with those around us, and we do feel accepted and supported, then our self-esteem tends to be built from there. So confidence shows up in our public self. So this person that you show to the world, the personality that you've created to survive and be accepted externally, can have a brave face on and be out in the world, in your job, and be seemingly from the outside doing very well, and even in your relationships, pulling it off, so to speak. But there can be, with the inner self, this underlying belief that you're not worthy of it, that you're not worthy of what you're receiving. So you're never fully connected. And it does end up starting to filter into our relationships and into the job. So what it is that we want to do is, with the inner self, with self-worth, we first build self-understanding, which is what we're doing right now. We're starting to understand ourselves. We get the awareness of what it is that we're saying to ourselves internally, and we start to build a sense of acceptance, a sense of compassion, a sense of nurturing, and a sense of love for this person and this body. And then from there is this beautiful wave that starts to filter into our intimate circle, and then into the face that we show to the world. Because the danger of having focusing on trying to build self-confidence externally, so doing it backwards, focusing on essentially pretending to be more confident than you actually are, is that it doesn't feel authentic and real. So what we want to do is, this person that shines in the world, the person that is out there doing the doing, we want that to be an organic, natural version of ourselves, so that there is not two people or three personas, that the inner work that we've done on how worthy we are starts to filter naturally into the intimacy and connection that we have with others, what we do allow, what we don't allow, the boundaries that we have with others, how much we buy into what others say or may be thinking or perceiving about us. And this face that we show to the world and what we actually do in the world starts to become this reflection of this inner relationship. And magic starts to happen when we do that, because what you're doing in the world shifts and changes around this first stone that we're going to lay down from an internal perspective. So the questions that I have for you today to get started on this is, in the journal Inside Life School, I want you to ask yourself, how do you value yourself? What is it about yourself that you value the most? Regardless of past circumstances, regardless of limitations, regardless of events, regardless of what others say and do, how do you value yourself? What are your values internally? What is amazing about you? The second question is, this person that you go to bed with at night, just before you fall asleep, the person that you're laying with day in and day out for the whole of your life? Is she kind to herself? Is she supportive of herself always, no matter what? And does she have unshakable faith in herself and what she is capable of? The third question, regardless of the setbacks and disappointments that you have, do you feel always, no matter what, that you are worthy of goodness? That you are worthy of all of the goodness that is available to every human being on this planet? The fourth question is, can you accept yourself regardless of your limitations, regardless of your flaws, and regardless of your weaknesses? Or do you focus more on giving yourself a hard time about your flaws, your weaknesses, and your limitations? The next question is that right now, in this present moment, can you actually see the real value of what it is that you have to offer the world? Can you really see and believe in that value? And can you utilize your values regardless of obstacles? So regardless of the challenges that will come in shining, in going big and going deeper, can you utilize those values? Can you be courageous in exercising your right to take full ownership of your life, full responsibility, full ownership to go after all that you want? Are you brave and courageous enough to do that? And the last question that I have, which I touched on at the beginning, is if I pull the people that I used to meet on retreat that had this amazing face on, and I'd be like, how's that working for you? Because behind your eyes, it's shaky. You can tell from across a room someone who has an unwavering relationship with themselves, that backs themselves 100%. It's not a fake confidence. It's not self-esteem. You can tell someone who knows themselves and is okay and accepting of themselves and doesn't even need to say a word. You can feel it. So these clients that I've worked with, I always ask them, because I often ask people, and I ask this of myself often, do you 100% feel that you are worthy of all the love, acceptance, and happiness that you can have? And a lot of people are like, yeah. And I used to do this with myself. It's like, yeah, but then I'd kind of look around at my life and go, well, maybe not. Maybe not as much as I think. So the way to determine how worthy you think you are of all of that is to ask yourself, if I took the rug out from underneath you tomorrow, if you lost all the things, all the relations, if you lost everything, what and who and what is left? And what I would say to everyone that I worked with is, what I want is that if that happens, because there are periods in our life where it happens, I want you to not fall over. I want you to maybe be shaken a little bit, maybe waver a little bit, and then pull yourself upright so fast, because you know you have this unshakable bond that can't be taken away by anything or anyone. For me, that was built on a yoga mat. It was built through meditating. It was built through self-awareness and getting to know myself. It wasn't a long journey. It was a shifting in my beliefs that it was okay to have this. And that's what I want to do with you for the next 30 days. So the first thing that we're going to focus on is awareness, and that's what we're doing right now. Any relationship with anyone, including yourself, starts with understanding. We can't have communication, we can't have connection, we can't have love with others and end ourselves without first having the understanding. That is how connection and true intimacy is built. is first understanding. Then we're going to move towards self-acceptance. And in life school, I like to focus this month self-acceptance by really looking at your relationship with your body and the way that you talk about yourself. So that the way that you start to learn through a yoga practice, through the way that you support your body. We have to become embodied if we want to be connected, because connection starts from listening in through the awareness, paying attention to the way that we talk to ourselves, paying attention to this relationship that we already have with ourselves, and then building the foundation of self-love and real worthiness starts from really becoming embodied, really sitting in the body. And the way that I like to do that is by paying attention to the body's needs. Because if we start to accept the body and we spend time with the body and we can really become present in the body, this is where the relationship starts, because this is the vessel that we're living in. So through self-talk, through affirmations, through yoga, and the body care plan. So this month I haven't so much done a healthy eating plan. I'm really focusing on, there are still some fabulous recipes there for you, but I'm really focusing on respecting the body, embodying, becoming connected to the body. Then we're going to look at self-love in week 3. We're going to look at the habits and practices that end up becoming new ways of being and new beliefs. Beliefs, the thing about I am not worthy, that belief starts with thoughts, maybe words from other people. And then it becomes a story that we repeat to ourselves in the, self-talk, which is why in week 2, I really want to focus on the way you talk about to yourself and your body. And then a story, if repeated long enough, because it feels so real, ends up becoming a belief. So beliefs can be unraveled by paying attention to the words that we use about ourselves internally. So we're going to look at the unhelpful story of I am not good enough, or I don't believe in myself, and we're going to look at how self-compassion really works. And we're going to learn the art of self-nurture and how to hold ourselves kindly. And then in the 4th week, we're going to look at recognition and responsibility. What am I going to do if I'm not defined by others and circumstances? How am I going to allow this relationship of I am worthy and I have an unshakable belief in myself? How am I going to use this resource so that I can really reflect my true value through moments of passion and purpose and service in the world? How am I going to shine? How am I going to become empowered through my worth to take full control and power over my life? And how do I start to behave like this right now? So this is the journey that we're taking. This journey is worth taking, because the way I see it, if we want to build a fortress that is rock solid and unshakable, all we need to do is just start to lay the stones. But once that fortress is built, there is no better feeling in the world than knowing that A, you have your own back 100% of the time, and B, knowing that regardless of what comes your way, you will not be broken. And you will face adversity with the kind of self-nurturing, self-compassion, and inner strength that builds so much pride and joy in yourself and your life. This is a journey worth taking. Now, for any of you that really know that it's time to move forward with your worth, to completely remove limitations, to stop playing small, and you need support with this. If there's things that have happened or are happening that are really shaking you at your core, and you're just ready to kind of move forward, then I've put together a self-worth coaching package for you for December and January. So through working with this material and working with me one-on-one and intimately, then we can really get to the core of what's happening specifically with you. And we can build on the tools that I'm giving you. So all you need to do, head to my website, heidishannon.com.au, click on the Life School button. If you're not already a member, you just become a member to sign in, and then I'll have all of the material for you, including some of my favorite resources for self-worth, from meditation to yoga, the body care plan that I have for you, and a little bit more. So I hope to see you on the inside. Don't forget that you need to be in on the private Facebook group to be able to ask me your questions, and I can answer them at any time. Have a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoy our month of worthiness.